Hi, I'm Heidi at Heidi Winkler Care, talking today about toddler bedtime resistance. For a while, bedtime might have been going more or less smoothly. You do the routine, your toddler goes to bed, and the evening ends somewhat peacefully. But suddenly something changes. Bedtime starts taking longer. Your toddler suddenly has many new ideas. One more hug, another drink of water, another trip out of the bedroom, and parents start wondering, what happened to bedtime? Or maybe bedtime has always been difficult and you are simply looking for some understanding and a few ideas about why this phase can feel so challenging with toddlers. One important thing to understand is that many children hold themselves together all day. They manage stimulation, activities, transitions, social interaction, emotions, and by the evening, their nervous system simply cannot do that anymore. So the evening is often the moment when everything that built up during the day finally comes out in the presence of the people they feel safest with. Another pattern I see quite often is that evening routines need to grow steadily with the child. Development is not linear. Each age brings slightly different rhythms and needs. Sometimes something that worked beautifully a few weeks ago simply needs a small adjustment. This is where a clear and predictable evening rhythm or bedtime ritual becomes extremely helpful. And this is actually true for toddlers and babies. Children feel safer when they know what happens next. And that safety helps their system really wind down. I often find it helpful to think about bedtime in two phases. The first part of the evening is about connection. Children need to feel heard, understood, and emotionally met. After this, the second phase can begin, the step-by-step process of actually going to bed. What I sometimes see is that evenings get pushed later and later because children are still trying to fill that need for connection and being seen. The result can be that many toddlers become overtired. And when that happens, their nervous system becomes more activated. You may see stronger emotions, more resistance, or what one might call challenging behavior. That moment when tiredness suddenly turns into chaos and nobody feels like their best self. Another interesting pattern I often observe, especially from my years working as a nanny, is that toddlers sometimes test boundaries more when both parents are present. Children naturally look for the small openings between adults. It's fascinating for them. Very often the bedtime process becomes easier when one parent simply drives the bus in that moment while the other parent supports the process and stays more in the background. And there's another reason why this often helps. Children are actually searching for safety and structure in the evening. All day long, they've had to manage a lot of stimulation, choices, and activity. So in the evening, it often feels very reassuring when an adult calmly takes the lead, not in a strict way, but in a way that says, I've got this, you can relax now. And many children actually sleep better when they feel that. The environment also plays a big role. The lights, the tempo, sound, they all influence the nervous system. And when evenings gradually become a little calmer, a little slower, and a little quieter, it becomes much easier for a child's system to move toward sleep. Falling asleep is actually not a voluntary action. Healthy sleep happens when the body can relax and let go. Not when a child is so exhausted that they simply collapse into sleep. So what often helps is creating a predictable, step-by-step evening rhythm. Connection first, then the bedtime routine, and then sleep. In the end, sleep itself is often not the biggest challenge. The real goal is helping your child arrive at bedtime in a calm enough state so that sleep can happen naturally. This is also why I usually recommend placing tasks that require stronger boundaries or things a child really dislikes earlier in the evening rather in the last 20 minutes before sleep. If things escalate right before bedtime, it is completely understandable that falling asleep becomes harder. It will not ruin everything, but it is definitely not pleasant. If the last 20 minutes are calm and peaceful, you are already doing something wonderful for helping sleep happen. When evenings include connection, predictability, and a clear step-by-step rhythm, many bedtime struggles become much easier to navigate. Because toddlers feel safest when they experience both, being understood and gentle guidance.